Social engineering, mixing lies with the truth. I flip the math like I spit it with a missing tooth. This an exclusive type of image you can't reproduce. The last cipher, I should've went last, but Lingo had to make an edit cause the rapper was trash. I felt like Michael Jordan. I took it personal fast. I shot past, outclass every op in my path. I moved dope through the airwaves, paid off the gatekeepers. Only way to break even, gotta be the greatest feature. Lot of leeches, lot of vultures come and try to snatch the culture. Evil vampires drinking blood like the Last Supper. Davis McClain only came to bring the pain. Agent Smith with the clones like a conquered king. Patron spilling like a ninja flipping off the stage, then disappear into the ether like I'm Doctor Strange.
What's up, YouTube? This is Charles the Hammer 117, aka known as Two Blunt Chuck. For those of you who are familiar with my other YouTube channel with no videos. But yeah, I know it's been a minute. I know it has been a minute. It's been over a year since I uploaded, but I'll be more consistent in 2026. I'll try to have at least a video a week for y'all. And before I start this presentation classroom or whatever, I want to give a shout out to Cable Out from the Cable Out Hood X channel. He was the one who produced that dope track you just heard just now. This is how you shut down a cipher. Like, his information is literally in the intro. If for those of you who like that hardcore East Coast, that hardcore lyrical East Coast hip hop, or that Chicago style hip hop, like, you know, MF Doom, Mos Def, Talib Kweli, you might want to check him out. And he goes off the word of God, and I don't think he swears either in his tracks. Like, his style is very authentic and miscellaneous. And if you thought his tracks were fire, you might want to check out his videos, because he has this new video out, or one of his new videos. He has one of these new videos. One of them is called Everything Remains Raw. Yeah, he's ahead of his time. But yeah, let's get into it. Sexual soul ties. You read that title. And yes, I know sexual soul ties aren't mentioned in the Bible once, but you see this quote right here, this Bible quote right here. Or do you not know that he who is joined to a prostitute becomes one body with her? For as it is written, the two will become one flesh. Ephesians 6:12. So pretty much this Bible quote is explaining, if you have sex with a prostitute, you pretty much become joined spiritually with the prostitute. So yeah, that's what it's. So it's practically explaining the term sexual soul ties. So every time you have sex with somebody, you pretty much spiritually merge with them, and you are tied to them in the spiritual. And sex isn't the only way you can inherit a soul tie. There's other ways, such as let's say if you're really close to like a friend, or you're very close to like a family member, or like, let's say, a coach. After a while, you'll form that spiritual bond through the relationship. But I believe sex is the most quickest, powerful way to inherit a sexual soul tie. It like bypasses all that. Oh, I want to give a shout out to Tanya from the Tanya Renaissance channel. She said this goated quote in regards to sexual soul ties. She said, sex is literally the closest you can get to another person's soul, which is so true. Like, sex affects you spiritually. It changes your spiritual makeup, and it changes your brain chemistry, which I'll get into the science of that later. And so thus making sex pretty much a portal. And because it's a portal, every time you have sex with a new person, you pretty much jump timelines and jump in that portal. So you know, the people who are having like a bunch of casual sex with people on a daily basis, like, they're pretty much jumping timelines on a daily basis. They're pretty much changing their world on a daily basis. Like I said, yeah, sex is nothing to be played with. That's why you see a bunch of people who had fun in their teens, 20s, and even 30s. That's why they start having like mental issues in their like late 30s, 40s, and 50s, or even before their 30s. It's through sexual soul ties. So, and you notice the more sex they have with different people, the more deranged they become. Because I know there's a bunch of you out here who have plenty of different women or guys in your like rotation or whatnot. Like it's real. Like it's, if you think about it, it's like really demonic out here. Like, because we have people who are like spiritually tied to other people through sex, but at the same time they want to like what, they hate their guts, they want to kill them, or they want to get them jumped by their family members and all that, like stuff like that. And we know the the entertainment industry pretty much promotes sexual soul ties or ungodly sex. Because let's be real, a lot of like these movies and these songs, like they're always what, promoting the lavish life, you know, like dating and all that. Like their goal is to pretty much promote ungodly sexual soul ties, and that's why there's so much like derangement, effery going on in like, you know, social media, the entertainment industry. Like it's like literally part of the black matter, which people are oblivious to the fact that a lot of that comes from, you know, ungodly sexual soul ties. People tarnishing their souls through casual sex and all that. And I want to give a shout out to Denzemos from the Denzemos channel. He said that there are a lot of people walking around with like demonic spirits attached to them. That's why they can never grow spiritually. That's why everything every plan they do, it crumbles. They have like the worst type of fortune, quote unquote, is because they have like a demonic spirit attached to them. And I believe a lot of those demonic spirits attached to people are through sexual soul ties. It could be through sex with a person they had like 2 decades ago, and they're still being negatively impacted by that person decades later without them even knowing, and they're pretty much oblivious to. So Satan has really corrupted God's gift of sex and turned it into like a weapon. Like it was created by God for us humans to be spiritually conjoined and more familiar to the person we love and we're married to. But like I said, it got weaponized, and it kind of ties into the Bible quote, "The wages of sin is death." So pretty much, yeah, eventually, the more sex you have with different people, which they most likely are probably depressed and broken, you'll pretty much inherit all that. Their depressed, broken spirits will be attached to you. Therefore, you'll eventually spiritually die and you'll become spiritually broken. You know, the wages of sin is death. But that's like through sexual soul ties. So yeah. But on the contrary, but the good thing about it, on a positive note, is that I'm noticing more and more people on the internet, they're mentioning sexual soul ties more and more, which is a good thing. So the collective is becoming a bit more aware. And I think I've heard sexual soul ties mentioned in a couple of R&B songs, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah. And also, the first time I ever heard anything remotely related to sexual soul ties, here's a quick backstory. Back in 2015, when I was visiting my family in New Mexico, I was hanging out with my cousin, and we were like in his room, and then my other cousin comes, his brother, he comes in the room, and they're conversating, they're having conversations and all. And then I don't know how this subject comes up, but one of them mentions, "Oh, did you know what studies have shown, and it's scientifically proven, that the more sex you have with different people, the more crazier you become. And my other cousin responded, "Oh yeah, I heard about that." And then they were kind of like talking about it, and then that right there, it like planted a seed in my brain. Like after that conversation, like years later, I would always think about that conversation, like every now and then. Like it kind of like it it made me intrigued. Like I would, you know what I mean? And then keep in mind, like I'm a YouTube rat. I've been a YouTube rat since like 2006 when I was 13. So for like, and I'm 33, so for like 20 years. And then these past 10 years, I've been like around like, the spiritual and somewhat esoteric community. And then when I would watch like videos based on any type of like spirituality, and in the I noticed in the related videos, in some of the titles, I would notice the term or the word sexual soul ties. Like like it would catch my attention, but little did I know that sexual soul ties was the spiritual aspect based on the conversation I heard in 2015 of my two cousins talking about the more sex you have with different people, the more crazier you get. Like it would only be until what, the year 2020 is when I would find out that they're pretty much talking about sexual soul ties, but the scientific corresponding aspect of of every time you have sex with a person or a new person, you pretty much merge with them in the spiritual. So you pretty much download their information and they download your information and you take on their characteristics because you two are married in the spiritual realm. So yeah, that's a quick backstory. He who is joined to the Lord becomes one spirit with him. Flee from sexual immorality. Every other sin a person commits are outside the body, but whoever sins sexually sins against their own body. 1 Corinthians 6:16 through 18. Now, right here are the four effects of sexual soul ties, or laying with a person, or laying with peoples. It affects sexual soul ties, affects your decisions, moods, health, even the oncoming generations, such as generational soul ties, which I'm going to get into way later. But yeah. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, "Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues." Revelations 18:4. 18:4. Sorry. So yeah, this is pretty much saying is come out of Babylon, don't partake in Babylon's sins. One of them, of course, one of the main sins being, well, I mean, I guess no sin is greater than the other, but one sin being sexual immorality. It's pretty much saying come out, like avoid the plagues of sexual immorality, such as STDs, diseases, all that, and sexual soul ties. Cursed is the ground for thy sake, and shall thou eat of it all the days of thy life. Genesis 3:17. So pretty much what it's saying is, what this passage is pretty much saying the ground or earth is cursed, and it ties into the earth being Satan's kingdom, or Satan ruling this earth. And it's also saying oh yeah, here's another shout out to K Blau, the guy I shouted out earlier with the music. In one of his videos on one of his YouTube channels, K Blau, K-Blao, K-Blao, I believe. Yeah, this is actually a classic video. This is in my opinion. He talked about how the earth is cursed in in result from the whole Adam and Eve forbidden fruit. You know how the earth got cursed. But yeah, he's pretty much saying is you can pretty much dabble and have fun and indulge in all what the world, Satan's world, has to offer, but eventually you're gonna get burnt. For example, if you overindulge in like eating a bunch of unhealthy foods, you can get health problems. If you indulge in drinking, you can get a bad liver or have liver problems. But what we're talking about is sexual soul ties. How whenever you have sex with a person, you pretty much merge with them spiritually and physically. And then with the wrong person, or eventually you'll get burned and you'll pretty much become cursed. Yeah, but yeah, that's pretty much, yeah, that's what I'm pretty much translating this passage. That's what I'm pretty much getting from this passage. Here we go. Energy is also a part of soul ties. So, say you sleep with someone that is depressed or anxious, it is possible for you to then begin to experience the same issues. Alicia Mathis. So yeah, that's the thing about sexual soul ties. A lot of people don't talk about in general how it affects society. How I believe it contributes to a lot of mental health, and of course it's coming from the spiritual. Like we have people having a bunch of sexual partners and then them being affected at work, them having attitudes, them randomly wanting to quit unstressful, easy jobs, but because they're getting hit with all types of spirits during the day, they perceive it as, oh, I hate my job, but no, when they're just getting hit with all types of spirits. And then these same type of people, it affects their driving skill because they're hit with so many different spirits is that they can't even concentrate on the road. Yeah. What was I about to say? And also, oh yeah, and then also, what happens if, let's say, if somebody, the person you sleep with has like horrible luck, quote, or has just bad spirits or bad energy to them, or let's say if you sleep with multiple people who are like this, who just have a bad aura to them, who are just bad in general, you'll eventually contract their misfortune. Like let's say on a daily basis, like you'll have unfortunate events or like accidents. Let's say where you're, for example, the garage door to the parking garage in your building complex will get stuck and you're like late for work. Or let's say you go to the drive-through and then finally it's your turn to order food, and then the person at the drive-through, they for some reason they don't take your order, but with the two other windows where other people are, they're taking their order, like stuff like that. Like, and or let's say you catch like a flat tire just randomly, like stuff like this throughout the day. I'm trying to also think. Or let's say you're at the gas station, you're pumping gas, and for some reason there's something wrong with like the gas machine. It's not pumping your gas, but you pay the money, like stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah, there are plenty of people who are just walking around with like a dark, depressing cloud over them due to to their past sexual partners, and probably a handful of them, or most of them, of their past sexual partners were probably depressed, suicidal, also bipolar, you name it. And I'm not trying to like make fun of these symptoms or put anyone down. I'm just saying. Uh, and then also, yeah, soul ties will also destroy a great person. Like, let's say if you're if you're a pretty decent person, but you end up having sex with multiple people who aren't so great. Let's say they're just vile and corrupt. That that energy or that spiritual tie will tie on to you, and then and eventually you won't be so great of a solid person. Is what I'm saying. Yeah, like I said, you'll be soul tied to the spirit realm. Like this quote: "Soul ties link us to the spirit realm, which the enemy uses for his advantage." Alicia Mathis. Um, yeah, like I was saying earlier, Satan uses sexual soul ties as one of his greatest instruments of destruction of this society. Like I believe it is one of the most powerful tools, along with pornography and and all types of poison, societal poison. But I feel like sexual soul ties has like a huge effect. Uh, Here we go. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against authorities, against the evil powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Ephesians 6:12. Yeah, so what I was just talking about, I believe oh no, well I know the rulers of these corporations, the Illuminati, the spirit, the high places of this world. I believe they purposely farm out all the sexual propaganda, like throughout the music, just media, entertainment, social media. That's the no-brainer. We all know that. But yeah, I believe this is all purposely farmed out, just so the world becomes crazy through sexual soul ties. Right here, for example, Sex in the City is one example. Here's an article: Why Sex in the City is the ultimate show for women in their 20s. That right there says a lot. Published February 11th, 2024. Published by Ali Haddad, student contributor at North Carolina State University. Oh yeah, speaking of Sex in the City, oh, um, when I was I kind of know about this show because I was born in the early '90s, and when this show came out in the early 2000s, I was like 8 years old. My mom would watch it. She was like a she was like a that was like her show. But I would kind of peek and kind of glimpse at what was going on. Oh yeah, I know this is a little off topic, but I'm just gonna share this. I did have like when I was 8, I did have like a small crush on what's her name, not Carrie, the main one, but the main promiscuous one. I think Samantha. Yeah, yeah, Samantha. When I was 8, I did have somewhat of a crush on her. Just to randomly share that. Oh yeah, and then speaking of Samantha, believe it or not, over the past couple of years, I've witnessed or encountered or seen uh, a couple of females that I went to school with or that I just follow on social media compare themselves to her. pretty much bragging and boasting how they're pretty much similar and whatever. Like, oh, like this one girl I went to school with that I follow on Instagram. I think she posted a picture of Samantha, and then in the text said, "Oh, I love her. She reminds me so much of me. This is me." And I'm not gonna lie, not to judge anyone, the girl that I'm talking about is pretty. Hey, some people just show their business on social media, but yeah, but yeah, let's go into the article. Few iconic television series have left as big of an impact on pop culture as Sex and the City, as the characters navigate love, friendships, and careers in New York City. SATC reflects the complexities of womanhood through humor, raw honesty, and women empowerment. At the beginning of the past fall semester, after a year of failed relationships and boy drama, one thing that remained constant was the friends I had made in college. In an era of protecting our peace, my roommate and I began watching the show together and quickly became obsessed. The lessons learned in fashion, friendships, and relationships have defined my mindset in these past few months. So yeah, right here, this article alone is like proof about how Sex and the City has effect on the collective, mainly women, millennial women, mainly millennial, even what do they call them, Generation X, and probably even Boom, all um vast variety of ages of women. Sorry, but yeah, Sex in the City like is a perfect example of a show that makes the whole promiscuous life look all bravado and epic. Because you know how they have just throughout the whole series they have multiple. They're sleeping with multiple men. They're making they trying to make it look epic and all that. And like I said, bravado. But it's all Satan behind all this. We all know this. This show's curse. For why should you, my son, be exhilarated with an adulteress and embrace the bosom of a foreigner? For the ways of a man are before the eyes of the Lord, and he watches all his paths. His own iniquities will capture the wicked, and he will be held with the cords of sin. Proverbs 5:20 to 5:22. So pretty much this passage is saying if you're dealing with the wicked and engaging with the wicked, you will be corrupted and become wicked yourself. But in this case, we're talking about sexual soul ties. So if you sleep with the wicked, you'll be connected to the wicked by the cords of sin, and you'll be corrupted by the wicked and become wicked yourself. If you're not wicked, if you're a pure person, you will be corrupted. Ungodly soul ties. All right, but yeah, this is pretty much what the bulk of this presentation or classroom is based on: ungodly soul ties. Oh yeah, and also forgot to mention I'm going off these two books. A lot of my information comes from these two books: Sex, Lies, and Soul Ties: A Comprehensive Guide to Understanding the Causes and Effects of Ungodly Soul Ties by Tiffany Buckner. And the other book is the Truth and Freedom series, Soul Ties: The Unseen Bond in Relationships by David Cross. Yeah, both these books are really great. Like, it's like an abundance of information from both these books. But yeah, you might want to check them out. Very good books. Ungodly soul ties are dangerous. It's the demonic spirits that are able to use these soul ties to transfer spirits. When this happens, bad things can take place. Quote by Alicia Mathis. So yeah, this quote is pretty much saying that sex is nothing to be played with. Like, sleeping with the wrong person, with a demonic spirit or a bad spirit, can really alter your life and tarnish your spirit. Like, and if you sleep with them, and if you sleep with a certain amount of people, you'll eventually become mad and crazy yourself. Uh, yeah, like for example, shout out to Denzemos from the Denzemos Breaking Empaths Free channel. One of his videos he talked about a while ago, he talked about how he knew this male gigolo. He was friends with this male gigolo, and this male gigolo told him about how like half to the majority of the people in these clubs and bars aren't even real people. These are empty vessels, or if not, demonic spirits. That's why if you end up sleeping with one of these people, there's a chance your life could go downhill like shortly after. Like let's say like if you own a business, like your business might take a hit, or if you like let's say if you sleep with a prostitute, like if you have like an abundance of money or a good career, you might lose your career, get fired, and your business will fail, and you might have to like file bankruptcy like shortly after, or your marriage could fall apart like shortly after as well, like stuff like that if you sleep with like the wrong demonic spirit. Yeah. And also another thing is, have you noticed with these very promiscuous people who have like tarnished their soul through a bunch of ungodly soul ties? Have you noticed that these tarnished souls, like when they're pretty much empty vessels for like demons and Satans to hijack them? And let me tell you something. Have you noticed when you get into argument with these people, they know how to bring up your worst, deepest, wounded insecurities, like your worst skeletons in your closet that has been really messing with you since you were a child, like your deep wounded childhood insecurities. Like it's not a coincidence that they have knowledge of your worst insecurities. It's because demons and Satan, they have intelligence and very demonic intuition. Like they know how to really read you out intuitively, but on like a demonic level. Well, Satan knows the whole Bible. Satan knows the Bible more than anybody, like any human. But yeah, that's just an example. Demons have intelligence. Satan has intelligence. Ungodly soul ties are like debt. When a person is bound by them, they feel like they've been robbed by the person they're soul tied to. By Tiffany Buckner. Yeah, there are people who are walking around with like soul ties that are being affected from soul ties from like the 2000s, 90s, even the 80s. And yeah, they're still getting tugged at to this day, and their choices are being affected by these soul ties to this day as well. Like that's why what this is my theory with some homeless people. Like you see some homeless people, they're literally looking like walking zombies. I believe that some of these homeless people have accumulated many soul ties and bad soul ties from the past years or maybe decades, and eventually they'll begin to spiritually pop. Thus, their life goes super downhill and they become homeless. That's my theory on some homeless people. I'm pretty sure a good amount of them are in that situation due to sexual soul ties. But yeah, like a spiritual death, pretty much. And also, you also take on character. If you're like let's say just a regular person, just a regular solid person, you'll start taking on like characteristics of the person you're sleeping with. Like if you're sleeping with someone who's just annoying and narcissistic and just overbearing, you'll eventually become overbearing, narcissistic, and yeah, you'll take on those characteristics. Or if you sleep with people who are like super just cringy and give the ick to society, you'll start being icky and cringy yourself. Yeah. But just an example. Okay, here's the tier list I've come up with 4 tiers. Now, This right here is an analyzation I've done in my head. This is this is what I've been observing in like when it comes to people and their decisions and their life situations in correspondence to their sex partners. This is all mapped out in my head. Like, yeah, this is an estimation. You know what I mean? And yeah, let's get into it. Tier number 1 to 5 sexual partners, loss of purity, also a slight to significant change in personality. Now this right here, as soon as you have sex for your first time, this is when you lose. This is the loss of purity. This is when you lose your. This is when you're pretty much tainted, especially if it's outside of marriage. Then you're practically you're tainted. But yeah, it's a slight to change to a significant change in personality depending on the person and the soul tie. Now let's go to tier number 2, 6 to 10 sexual partners, the complete loss of the original self. Yeah, so let me give you an example. Like we've all had that friend that let's say that we grew up or knew for a while, we went to grade school with, and let's say after high school they end up going out of state, and let's say you don't see them for like 6 months to like 2 years or whatever, which may be, and then finally you end up seeing them, and then there's something different about them. Some I'm not gonna say off, but something different about how like they're not the same person. Like something's different. Yeah. Come to find out, they've had what around 5 relationships and like what 5 flings or something like that. Yeah. So they completely lost their original self, the original self you knew and you grew up with. But yeah. Now let's go to tier number 3, 11 to 29 sexual partners. This is complete spiritual and physical jadedness. Yeah, this is beyond the loss of the original self. This right here, this is one of like we've all, have you noticed like specifically a lot of promiscuous people who've had a lot of sex partners? Have you noticed these people have like quote unquote bad fortune or quote unquote bad luck? No, it's because they're tainted. They're spiritually tainted, and they're spiritually jaded. Like, have you noticed like everything they do like completely crumbles? Like, let's say if they want to like start this like career and like go to school or do something, or it like crumbles. Or let's say if they want to start a business, it ends up crumbling because of some crazy thing happening. But yeah, that's the physical and spiritual jadedness. And a lot of them do look like a train wreck too. I mean, you can see it in like how they. I mean, not to judge people. I'm just saying. But yeah, these people are pretty much tarnished with all types of bad spirits on them. Now let's go to tier number 4, 30 plus sexual partners. Right here is the spiritual hijacking. At this point, one becomes attached to many spirits to where they may be a vessel for unwelcoming demonic spirits, even Satan. At this point, you can say this person is damned and is in hell on earth, like the Mobb Deep album. I'm just playing spiritually, but that does not mean one can save their soul. So yeah, at this point, when you have plus 30 sexual sex partners, this person can they're literally pretty much an empty vessel for like demons, Satan, and Satan himself. And screw it, they will even become Satan himself. But like I was saying earlier, I think in this presentation, you notice how people who are spiritually tarnished, and specifically we're talking soul ties. You notice how when you get in an argument with these people, they know how to hit you at your worst insecurities that have been affecting you as a kid, like your worst skeletons that probably only that you know about, and they somehow know even though you haven't told them. Like I said, it's demons and Satan, they have intelligence. Satan knows the Bible more than any human on earth. Like demons and Satan have that demonic intuition, and yeah, that high intelligence to where they're literally scanning you demonically, and they can sniff out your worst insecurities. But yeah, this, and especially if, let's say if you're someone on like a walk with God, whatever, you're on like, you're trying to like elevate spiritually, then they'll definitely be used as saying to like kind of like throw you in that lower state by pretty much tormenting you. But yeah, that right there is a spiritual hijacking. And like I said, like you can still save yourself. They can still save their souls. Like anything's possible under God. But yeah, that's if they're able to. And yeah, I don't know if I said this, but note, one bad sexual soul tie can still affect a person significantly, regardless of the numbers. Some indicators of ungodly soul ties, well, the most obvious would be outside of marriage. The emotional indicators tend to be anxiety to God, uneasy, and not being able to find peace. Quote by Alicia Mathis. Yeah, pretty much all like being spiritually tarnished, being connected to all these dark, ungodly, soul-tied spirits, ungodly spirits, my bad. We may not see a soul tie with our eyes, but we may be very familiar with the way it feels as it pulls at our lives. Just like the yoke that joins two oxen, it is the bond in the spiritual realm that ties our soul to one another because it is established in the spiritual realm. Quote by David Cross. Yeah, so pretty much what this quote is saying is like a soul tie with two people is like the same thing as like a yoke that joins two oxen. They're both being steered in the same direction, and whether they're aware of each other or not. Yeah, like let's say if you sleep with a person outside of marriage and you guys forget about each other, you're both affecting each other in the spirit, in correspondence. Like y'all share the same destination. Actually, this shout out to so what's her name, Tanya Renaissance. I don't know if you want to check out her channel, but she came up with this concept of when you sleep with somebody, you share the same destiny. So yeah, it's pretty much talking about, it pretty much ties into this. But yeah, shout out to Tanya Renaissance. If you want to check her channel out, she goes really deep in the Word of God, and it's like Bible based, and it's really deep. And the way she delivers her information is very deep and authentic. I mean, this is where I got some of these quotes. That's where I got the idea of sharing destinies from her. But yeah, I don't know if you want to check her out. It's spelled, her name's spelled, her channel's name is spelled Tanya, like Tanya, and then Renaissance, like the Renaissance Fair or the Italian Renaissance. Yeah, Tanya Renaissance. But check her out. Shout out to her. But yeah, you both share the same destiny. So this ties in with the next part. Here we go. If there has been an ungodly soul tie in the life with a person who now died, it is possible for this to have a continuing effect. The pathway of spiritual darkness established by the wrong relationship in life can still be used by the powers of darkness after someone's death. The one still living. Quote by David Cross. So yeah, if you're tied to somebody, if you have an ungodly soul tie with somebody and they end up passing, whether you know about it or not, like you will definitely take a spiritual hit. Like I believe, like let's say you went crazy and you had sex with like 30 to 50 people within like 1 to 2 decades, or even more than that, like 4 decades, whatnot, like, you know, the soul tie death. There's a good chance that like a decade later or a couple of decades later, after you went on your hiatus, that one of those people, like let's say you slept with 40 people, like one out of those 40 people probably passed away. Thus, in result, like the person that, like when the person passes away and the person that they're tied to, I believe they take a spiritual hit. Like let's say if they pass away, the person that they're tied to, they'll like fall into like a heavy depression in correspondence, or like they'll become mentally ill, or they might even die themselves, or let's say they just spiritually crash out and they become homeless or something like that. Yeah, uh, yeah, pretty much. That's why. Yeah, that's why soul ties are nothing to be played with. But yeah, their death can affect your life in correspondence due to that spiritual tie you have with them. So yeah, be careful who you sleep with. Marriage in God's eyes happens the moment sex happens. The law has its own definition, undoubtedly a response to the decreasing population of the truth. However, the truth must be told that the person of God can stop perishing from the lack of knowledge. Tiffany Buckner. So yeah, the lack of knowledge, like in this case, sexual soul ties can really destroy you. Soul ties change the way we think, reason, and the choices we make. Quote by Tiffany Buckner. Yeah, we're gonna go into a scientific explanation of this soon. The one ungodly soul tie can ruin a man's life, finances, and relationships and future. Quote by Tiffany Buckner. Yeah, so like I was saying in the when I was presenting the tier list, that one, like regardless of the numbers of soul ties, that one and only soul tie can really destroy a person's life. Like that's why you hear stories about about those passport bros. You know the trend that's been going on since like I believe 2020, where guys are like going like to countries like especially like developing countries, like going to countries like the Philippines, Thailand, where they're going out like sleeping with a bunch of women or just hooking up. I mean, there are some that legitimately want a good wife or whatever, but a large bulk of them are out there for like, debauchery. That's why you hear about stories about guys going over there, sleeping with, having a bunch of hookups, sleeping with a bunch of women, prostitutes, and then a couple years later, or maybe less than a year, they come back with nothing, heartbroken and like destroyed. But yeah, if you, like I said, a lot of guys are going out to these foreign countries and being very naive, like Thailand, sleeping with a bunch of prostitutes. Literally, do they know they're literally losing their soul? And that's why, yeah, that's why if you like have sex with a prostitute, that's why, yeah, your whole business could probably collapse. You might have to file bankruptcy, or if you're like heavy into like stocks, you might make a very bad trade, which will literally wipe out 80% of your portfolio. Like yeah, or like I was saying earlier, you become hit spiritually and become a homeless person or something like that. But yeah, that one ungodly soul tie can really tarnish a person's soul, anyone's. All right, of course, the strongest of these soul ties are formed through sex. That is because sex allows a person to bypass our belief system and directly form a soul tie with us, whereas everyone has to go through a process of being tried and discerned. Quote by Tiffany Buckner. Yeah, I want to give another shout out to Tanya Renaissance. Another thing she brought up on her live when she talked about sex outside of marriage. She said, when you like the closest way, like having sex with someone is the closest you can get to their soul, which is very very true. And then what I want to like add on to is not only is it the closest way you can get to their soul through sex, but if it's like outside of marriage and it's like ungodly, it'll be like a perverted type of closeness to their soul, like a perverted and distorted, weird kind of like yeah, closeness to their soul. But yeah. But yeah, because like I was saying, like you can form. There are other ways of forming soul ties. Like if you're like, let's say if you have like a very close friend or family member that you're around for like a very long time. If you're around them enough, like you'll become tied to them spiritually. But soul ties are the most quickest way to get connected to a person, most quickest and fastest, and probably the strongest way you can connect to somebody's soul. And also, if you like sleep with someone like enough, like you pretty much tie a knot with their soul, like, and it's harder to break that soul tie. Scientific information regarding sexual soul ties. Now, this is for people who don't believe that sex has any effect in the physical. And right here is the corresponding physical evidence with the spiritual evidence. Here we go. In regards to sexual soul ties. Whenever a person is sexually involved with another person, neurochemical changes occur in both their brains that encourage limbic emotional bonding. Yet, limbic bonding is the reason casual sex doesn't really work for many people on a whole mind and body level. Quote by Daniel G. Amen. Now, this is from the book Change Your Brain, Change Your Life. Interesting book. I guess I suggest you check it out. But yeah, this is what I was ties into what I was talking about. Because of the unfortunately because of the whole hookup culture that's been pushed these past decades, we have like almost it seems like the collective, especially in like big cities, like of people who are just mentally ill, and they're oblivious to the fact that it's because they've had many sex partners. They're out here, yeah, they're out here with all types of mental conditions. Like I'm not trying to talk down on anybody. Like, and we even have scenarios where we even have like parents like beating the hell out of their kids because they've had many sex partners, or if they're already currently in a open relationship, they're sleeping with all types of different partners, and they're like taking that, and because of that, they're becoming mentally unstable, and they're like beating the hell out of their kids. Yeah, like stuff like that. And yeah. And also, here's the thing. Here's an example. Have you noticed, like, let's say when you had sex outside of marriage, like, let's say if you had it at night, let's say the morning after, like, have you noticed how you feel like off, like something's just weird about you? And it's not necessarily like the hangover feeling or the lack of sleep or even the guilt. It's it's like this odd, weird feeling. Like I can't put my finger on it, but you know what I'm talking about. That right there is the limbic bonding. That right there is the syncing process. You know how when you like download something or you send a message, you can't really like get it right away. It has to like sync for a couple of seconds or whatever, however long. Yeah, that's the syncing process right there. I just wanted to share that. Right there, and then in the spiritual, you're tying that sexual soul tie knot. And also, the more sex you have with the same person, that knot becomes tightened. Thus, makes it harder to cut that soul tie. But yeah, let's continue. Two people may decide to have sex just for the fun of it. Yes, something is occurring on another level. They may not have to decide on it at all. Sex is enhancing an emotional bond between them, whether they want it or not. Another quote by Daniel G. Amen. Yeah. Oh, and another example is, you ever notice in those Hollywood movies where there's like let's say if there's like antagonist and protagonist, like the two main characters, let's say it's a male and a female, and then it's always the same scenario. In the beginning, they're always standoffish to each other, where they're like opposing forces, or they're like trapped with each other, whatever the scenario may be. And then it's always the same. But then during the climax, they always end up like falling in love, or having sex, like that tension breaks, I guess, builds up and breaks during the climax, and they have sex. You notice how, like, after the sex scene between them, like the morning after, you notice how it's normally like the guy, he's like looking out into the distance watching the sunrise, and he's looking all lost and confused, like you may, and then he looks like he's in deep thought. Right there, that's the sinking process. See, I'm telling you, like, you can say what you want about Hollywood. They know the secrets. They know the secrets of this world and the secrets of God. I'm telling you, they throw it in there. They throw hints and clues. But yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to throw that out there. And also, that's why I like. That's why That's why, let's say you have a friend or whatever, you're good friends with someone you've known for a while, and let's say they get in a relationship with someone, and for some reason they're acting brand new. It's not necessarily that they're acting brand new. It's that they altered their brain. It has changed, and that's also why that's how a lot of guys get like, well, mainly the because it's mainly the men who are like, or whoever is promiscuous in the relationship. That's how the promiscuous person, like the cheater, always gets caught up because of that subtle chemical balance change in their brain. And the thing is, like, yeah, it's like very subtle. It's like it's super subtle. It's not one of those things where you have sex with somebody and then it's like it's like you suddenly download all their memories. You get the after effects of their memory. I mean, you get the after effects of their trauma or experiences and the emotions, not necessarily the memory. Not saying that is possible. That's not possible. But yeah, and then yeah, it's very subtle. Like to actually see, to track down like the difference in your activity or how you act or whatnot. Like it's good. That's why it's good to like keep a journal. Like if you were to keep a journal, you would be able to like see the stark differences in your mood and personality or the way you do things in your daily life. Okay. I don't know. My bad. I'm just rambling on. One person, often the woman, is bound to form an attachment and will be hurt when a casual affair ends. One reason it is usually the woman who is hurt more, that the female limbic system is larger than the male's. One likely consequence is that it will be more limbically connected. Another quote by Daniel G. Amen. Yeah, like I don't mean to like be like sexist or anything, but I believe that sexual soul ties, they affect the women more because you know how women are emotional creatures. I believe it's more visible on women, and also because you know how the whole male attitude is like, oh, you got to be tough and all that. You can't really talk about your problems or emotions. But yeah, it's just my opinion. But yes, casual sex is worse on the women's psyche and limbic system. Oh, here we go. Premarital sex effects of marriage. Right here is a graph that shows the effects of premarital partners. Here, let me read this. Here's from the Family Institute of the Family Studies. The highest 5-year divorce rates of all are associated with marrying in the 2000s and having 10 or more premarital partners. 33%. Perhaps it is not unexpected that having many partners increases the odds of divorce. The greatest surprise is that this only holds true in recent years. Previously, women with two partners prior to marriage had the highest divorce rates. Figure 1, chances of divorce after 5 years of marriage by marriage cohort and number of premarital sexual partners. But yeah, here you go. You can see the graph. But yeah, as you can see, it obviously like the chances of divorce after marriage corresponds to the higher number, the higher number of sex partners, as you can see. And yeah, I believe the women are affected more if you look at it. But yeah, right here is scientific evidence, the corresponding scientific evidence research. Sex affects brain development. Teenage sexual activity, particularly early onset, may influence adolescent brain development by altering neural structures like the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala, potentially affecting social and emotional regulation, as shown in animal studies, indicating changes in dendritic complexity and gene expression linked to inflammation, suggesting early sex might alter brain organization sensitive to hormones, impacting risk taking and emotional responses later in life, though more research is needed on long term human impacts. Key findings from research: altered neural structures. Studies on animals suggest early sex experience can lead to less complex dentri- dendrites, nerve cell branches in brain areas crucial for adult function like prefrontal cortex and the amygdala, say researchers at Ohio State University. Hormone influence. Puberty brings a surge of sex hormones that interact with a developing brain, potentially restructuring neural networks and sensitizing them to hormonal effects, creating a second wave of brain organization, notes an NIH article. Now, gene expression. Adolescent sexual activity was linked to higher expression of inflammation related genes in the brain in animal models, adding another layer of potential impacts, notes NBC News. Risk and reward. The adolescent brain's unique sensitivity to social stimulus makes sexual experience critical, yet less understood. Factors shaping risk reward decision making. NIH researchers. So yeah, what it's pretty much saying is having sex, because I believe the brain, the human, like the brain finishes developing at what, around 24, 25. But then when you're in like your like around 16, 15, like 14, like in your teen years, I believe it's really developing. So yeah, we have a bunch of kids out here like having like sex, like a bunch of teenagers out here having like sex, and they're like they're stunning their brain growth pretty much. And then a lot of them, by the time they're finished with high school and they start college, they got all types of mental illness and chemical imbalances in their brains, and they're like suffering from depression, which they're completely oblivious to. But yeah, that's what it's pretty much talking about. The stolen of innocence. The stolen of innocence. Premature sex affects brain development. Continued. I didn't know there was more. Why this matters. Sensitive period. Adolescence, ages 10 to 19, is a vital period of brain development, making it vulnerable to influence that shape adult health. Notes Psych Central. Long term consequences. Here we go. These early experiences, mediated by hormones and neural changes, may have a lasting psychological and behavioral effects impacting emotional regulation and reproductive health. Suggests newsmedical.net. Further reading: the importance of sexual and romantic development in the adolescent brain. NIH. Oh, this is like, oh, this is probably like information or the work citation. Brain development during adolescence. NIH. Teen sex may affect brain development. Study suggests NBC News. Yeah. Yeah, before I get into this next part, I want to show y'all something. How sexual soul ties or many sexual soul ties can affect what we just learned, the limbic system or the nervous system. Let me show you a video real quick. Right here, the title is Wilt Chamberlain on the rumor that he has slept with over 20,000 women.
Rather nice to meet you, you know. And I'm a little surprised because I know you want to talk about a subject that is dear to my heart.
Well, we got to talk about this.
Like,
You
what do
made
you
a
notice
statement,
about him?
And his statement's going to follow you around for a while that you...
Notice how he has a
slept
hard
with
time like
20,000 women.
sitting
You made that
still.
statement. Now,
Like he's very weird and
I gotta
impulsive
say,
in his
that's
movements.
the kind of thing that you say, and then people bring it up later.
Like it's kind of similar to like
20,000
people
women.
like
you,
coke
right?
addicts.
Well, it's not
who
just
did
me.
a lot
Have
of
you seen, there's
coke.
a clock in Times Square. Take a look at this
Right
thing.
there is
It's
the
pretty
effects of
incredible.
the many
I didn't
spirits.
think that,
Right there, what you see is the effects of the many spirits that are tugging at his body, his limbic system.
Like 15, he's now maybe 55. So let's see, 20,000, 365 into 20,000. And
I mean, I doubt he has sex with
you're getting
20,000.
people thinking.
Not only that,
Either
I'm
way,
teaching them
still.
mathematics, which is really the whole story here. You understand?
I don't
You
think
know?
that's going to be a word problem for kids. If Wilt
Yeah, see?
Chamberlain is with 10 women on a train headed east,
That's right. There you go. That's right. And when he gets to Missouri, right.
all right,
Can't even
but
move properly.
But on the serious
I'm gonna
side
show
of
you
that,
another
though,
one.
just-
Still on being the king of BBC, 20 years in the game, and Brian Pumper and more, which we're going to talk about later. Yeah, so apparently he's slept with 5,000 women in his porn career. Let me show you. But let's see something.
A professional career after school, after college.
So you, at what age did you decide that you wanted to become a stockbroker? Because that was your first real career, right?
Well, yeah, I'll tell you what happened.
See, what do you notice
coming
about
into my
him?
senior year at
Similar to
Syracuse,
Wilt Chamberlain. They
I
both
really
have that
didn't
very
know
impulsive
what
moving.
I was preparing to take the LSAT because
Like
my
they can't
associate's
move
history,
properly,
American
like their
history, so
their
I was
nervous
studying
system's all
constitutional
weird
law.
and messed up.
and I was preparing for the LSAT.
That
and
right there is the many
that
souls
fall
tugging at
semester,
him, like I said earlier,
a lot of the
and the souls that have
collegiate,
corrupted their limbic
workshops
system,
would have
their nervous
recruiters,
system.
and it would be job fairs, big job fairs, because Syracuse is a big communications school. Perhaps maybe Northwestern is arguable, but Syracuse is a big communications school. So the job fairs at Syracuse would bring, once they, because here's the thing, when we were out of the Bronx,
Wait, so you would go shoot
I mean, I did
a porn
research.
scene,
I
but
don't
it
think
would just be
he
photos?
has done. I don't think he has like a
video
history of
camera.
coke,
Wow, that's
I mean,
interesting.
okay, so
which
so
may be
we're in a
the effects
studio,
of his
a fully professional
of
studio,
his impulsive
right?
moving.
And then-
Like
and
I
so
looked
we
on
lit
ChatGPT, there was
such
no
as your
evidence,
studio,
so I'm gonna
and then
assume,
of course the photographer. Problem is,
which I'm pretty sure it
the
is.
magazine, very few magazines had penetration
Right.
photos, so you had to have. They wanted you to have an erection and
Look,
keep
he's,
it
like,
right
just
at her
sweating.
mouth or right at the point of
I'm telling you,
injury,
it's that
but not-
those demonic
not
spirits
in.
that are making him
You know
just
what I'm saying?
sweat for
She
no
could
reason.
act like she was going to touch you, but she couldn't.
Just in a
So
simple
you had to be
interview where
able
he's
to
just sitting
maintain
down.
the posture of an
Where
erection.
he looks like he's about to
without
sweat a
actually
lot.
any application
yeah.
thereof.
But yeah, I just wanted to show how many soul ties will affect the nervous system or the limbic system. Like you saw just there, what's his name, Wilt Chamberlain in Lexington still. I don't know why I have trouble saying that. Yeah, they both had trouble like sitting still, and then they can't really gesture properly. They're all impulsive with their gestures and all that. But yeah, those are the many souls that are tugging at their spirit. That right there, that super impulsiveness that most people, like promiscuous people, have. Those are those spirits, that demon controlling them. But yeah, here we go. This physical body tends to reflect the spiritual conditions of the soul. Quote by David Cross. Right here, what do you notice about all four of these people? Well, a couple of them are porn stars, Mia Khalifa and the dude on the top right. When the girl on the top, the girl on the top right, my bad. you can obviously tell she's a promiscuous girl. But these are all promiscuous people, and I know you recognize Blueface. But the point I wanted to make is I've noticed that like people who have had a lot of sex partners and who are like spiritually and mentally gone, they tend to have a lot of like tattoos to like kind of reflect their conditions, but not always. Like as you can see, like on the bottom right, like Mia Khalifa, I mean, you can see it in just how she looks, where she looks like depressed and all that. But yeah, normally, not always, but people who have had a lot of sex partners tend to have a lot of tattoos in correspondence. I'm not saying all people who have tattoos have a lot of sex partners. I'm just saying what I regularly notice that people with a lot of sex partners have a lot of tattoos or like ink, or they have that like damaged, depressed look. But yeah, let me show you another video to like kind of give evidence to what I'm talking about. Yeah, the title of this video is How to Get into the Porn Industry, or How to Get into Porn. This right here, he's I believe a veteran porn star. But as you can see right here, like I was saying, the spirit, or the quote said, the spiritual has the corresponding effect on the physical. Right here, you can just tell this dude's a broken man, like he's damaged. Look.
Years later.
Notice how he has that like kind of like rough look. It kind of makes you like he kind of looks like he's like itchy and all scraggly. Like I'm sure he obviously maintains. He like takes showers, and you can see he grooms himself. But that right there, I don't know, that kind of messy, scruffy, dirty look he has on him. That right there is a corresponding physical to his spirit. Like that's how he feels in the spirit. He feels all roughy and grimy and probably itchy. Like you can, like, poor guy. Like I honestly do feel bad for these people, these broken people who have really like damaged themselves with a bunch of sex and debauchery. Like look, you can tell he's broken. Like look at his eyes, poor guy.
Girl I knew from high school was in the business, so she was long gone. So I really didn't know anyone in the business, no one to reach out to.
And he has that leathery skin that most promiscuous or very fast active people have. It's kind of the same thing to what most like people who smoke a lot of cigarettes, they inherit leathery skin. I've noticed that with a bunch of promiscuous people too, or people who have had a lot of sex partners. Their skin looks all crusty and leathery. But yeah, I just want to show you that. Here we go. Being soul-tied to a person, being soul-tied to a damaged person can cause a spiritual infection. Now right here, you see you see a clean soul. This right here is like a pure person, I guess, who has never had sex before. Like these two pictures are obviously to reflect a person's one soul or spirit. But yeah, now you go over here, you see like a tarnished soul. Now this is a person that had sex with all types of people. We got what? Narcissists, broken people, people who have been molested, wounded, etc., etc. Yeah, like some people are like I was saying earlier, some people are like normal, good people, but they end up somehow having sex with narcissists and toxic people and just sad people. And then because it doesn't matter who you are, you start to pick up those narcissistic traits of that narcissistic person. And I have noticed that is like with most narcissists, that actually does go hand in hand with having multiple sex partners, I've noticed, which makes them way worse than they were before. A lot more worse. But yeah. Oh, like let me give you a little made up story, like an example, like a fictional story example I've come up with to explain this. okay, say we have a scenario where we have a male and a female. The male's name is Wes, and the female's name is let me think of a name. I don't know, Cynthia. Let's say Cynthia, she comes from a very loving home with like a two-parent household where both parents have a loving marriage and whatnot. Both parents never fought. And yeah, it was a very peaceful household with maybe a couple of other siblings. Like, and she was all, not on top of that, Cynthia was a very good student. Like, she got straight A's and B's, never acted up in class, always hung out with straight edge friends as she is as well. But now let's say on the other hand, we have a guy named Wes. Now Wes, let's say he comes from a alcoholic, like both of his parents are alcoholics and they come from a long line of alcoholics. And let's say from when he was born, his parents used to fight, and when he was young, he used to witness his father beat his mom and stuff like that, domestic violence. And let's say both parents even dabbled into drugs and whatnot. And let's say he ended up losing his mother or his father at a young age. And then due to losing like one of his parents or maybe both, let's say Wes is taken to like a foster home where he's molested by one of his uncles or whatever, and because of that he starts acting up. Then he gets into the juvenile system, and then as well as just like his parents, he starts getting addicted to alcohol and drinking, and he also does drugs, and he also becomes strung out on drugs eventually. And let's say he eventually kind of becomes clean, like he does the programs and whatnot after getting arrested and all that. Let's say he makes the decision that he wants to pursue his like art degree or some type of art. So he enrolls into this art institute. And on the other hand, let's say Cynthia ends up being enrolled in this art institute. And let's say him and Cynthia and Wes, they end up meeting each other. They end up becoming partners on an art project, which leads to a relationship. Little does Cynthia know that Wes is a tarnished soul, or already a tarnished soul. Meanwhile, Cynthia is a clean soul. And let's say they get into a relationship, and eventually Cynthia has sex with Wes, and thus she contracts his broken soul, or she inherits a spiritual infection from Wes. Even though he may be her first or second sexual partner or whatever, she inherits a spiritual infection. And let's say over the course of the months things don't work out and they end up separating or whatnot. Now, on the other hand, Cynthia, because she has a spiritual infection, her parents and her siblings or peers notice that she's more depressed and she isn't really the same anymore. And she also changes her career to like something that she wouldn't really go for. And then because of this, let's say because of this spiritual infection, this infection leads her to get into like another relationship, but this time it's a relationship with another tarnished soul. Like it's kind of like you know how for all my traders out there who trade in the stock, you know how you like do that you know how you have like one bad trade and you like kind of like feel bad when you lose money, but that one bad trade leads you to making more bad trades and another bad trades, and it's like a domino effect. That's kind of what like sexual soul ties are sometimes. Like sleeping with one bad tarnished soul can definitely lead you to another tarnished soul because you're going downhill, because you have a spiritual infection. But yeah. That's just a little like a little analogy story right there. Just an example of how a clean soul can easily get tarnished by a tarnished soul and inherit a spiritual infection, even if it is a person's first sexual relationship or the first person they've had sex with. I'm telling you, like sexual soul ties, like sex is no game. I'm telling you, but yeah. Here's another example. I don't most of y'all who have I'm pretty sure like many of y'all who are kind of into like esoteric knowledge or whatever that like you're interested in that part of the YouTube. I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all know who Young Pharaoh is. Now me, for example, I only found out about Young Pharaoh like right after his downfall. Cause what didn't he start like doing videos on like he first started on like Facebook, and then he started getting like thousands and millions of views, and then he like moved his like content to YouTube, and that's where he started like blowing up in like what 2018, and his peak was like 2020 or something like that. But after like doing like research, after like finding out about him, which I'm really shocked that I only found out about him like what 2021, which I'm very shocked that I didn't find out about him like beforehand. But after doing research, I noticed like his downfall happened right after he had sex with a prostitute, because he was like practicing polygamy, and we all know about polygamy. But I guess he was practicing polygamy with his girlfriend and one of his child's mothers when he like moved to Texas or something like that. But then he added another person to the polygamy circle. But then that's when he started like that. But then that's when he started wilding, and I think he had sex with I believe he did have sex with a prostitute. He admits it, like right around that time. But if you read between the lines and stuff, notice how right after he had sex with that prostitute, that's when he got the Eye of Horus, and that's when everything started going downhill. That's when he like did the shrooms and all that, and then he started getting arrested, and then he shot at his his kid's mom's house and all that, and then he started what is that, glorifying white supremacy and all that. I mean, I ain't trying to judge him, but yeah, but this is the old Pharaoh, like 2018, before he had the Eye of Horus, and this is before sex with a prostitute, and this is after he had sex with a prostitute. Like you can see the difference. Like he literally looks like a homeless person right here. But and a lot of people say that it's because after he did shrooms and all, or after he got linked up with a bunch of dudes from Houston, because after he moved to Texas. But no, I honestly, like reading between the lines and like looking in the spiritual, I truly believe it was his downfall happened right after he had sex with a prostitute. But yeah, I just wanted to give an example. Here we go. Here's Brian Pumper. I'm pretty sure most of y'all know who he is, even if you watch porn or not. But this is the beginning of his porn career. I believe this is like the mid 2000s, like 2008, 2007. This picture right here. Now this is after his porn career. This is after having sex with hundreds of women. This is actually from like a couple of years ago. But yeah, this dude Brian Pumper, like he was like on his career, like he had like he was a producer at one point in time. He even had like a YouTube channel that was like blowing up. But then what happened is, I guess he popped spiritually, and boom, and now he's over here like wandering the streets, looking crazy like a homeless person. And then I believe he did get egged on camera, like it went viral. He actually got egged. Like a bunch of young teens or young dudes, they like rolled up on him, pulled up on him, and they like egged him or something because he was like egging porn stars or females for no reason. But yeah.
That's so funny as you got shit, Jesse. You got herpes. You got herpes. What's that on your lip? You ain't fresh. He didn't be fresh. It look like somebody. You already know who that is.
You gotta wear mine like that shit.
But look, this right here, this is an example of what happens when Satan's done using you. You just become an empty vessel, a dead vessel, like a soulless vessel right here. Like you would think, like he looks like a mentally ill homeless person, which he possibly might be. But yeah, right here is an example of when Satan's done using you. Oh yeah, I want to show y'all another example, like from another porn star. Here, bear with me. Y'all know who Charlie Mack is? Right here. Here's a photo of Charlie Mack. Yeah, I believe this is a photo from him in the early 2000s when he first started his porn career. But you see how he looks, right? Now this is him now. What do you see? What do you see? What do you notice? I'm telling you, look, this man literally looks like the Crypt Keeper. This man literally looks like the Crypt Keeper. He literally looks like someone off the Snoop Dogg Hood of Horror. Like this right here is proof. If you don't want to believe that there's demons behind soul ties and the porn industry, or demons behind soul ties in general, this is little proof right here. Like after looking at this, you can't deny and not tell me that demonic soul ties can affect a person. Just look at him. Look, he looks like the Crypt Keeper. He looks like some off a horror movie, like off a Thriller.
I was definitely a young, smooth talker as a kid. I definitely would say so. Charlie Mack came from being pretty much a ladies' man as far as.
Come on, you can't make this stuff up, man.
But being able to get close to him, like almost like a Hugh Hefner type
Dude,
person.
bro looks like a demon.
Women are comfortable around you.
I'm telling you, demons in the porn industry.
To gain your trust. So I think that's where that came from.
I think the girls were comfortable around Hugh Hefner because he had a staff.
Yeah. The smooth criminal type.
But yeah, bro was in the interview. I watched it a while back. He's talking about life's good while looking like the Crypt Keeper. But yeah, I just wanted to show you. But yeah, that right there is proof alone. This is proof. Looking at Charlie Mack, that is proof that there are spiritual demons behind porn, soul ties, or that is just proof that Satan and the satanic kingdom exists in general. Like you can't deny it. And the crazy thing is, like back in the day when I used to watch porn, like in the 2000s, late 2000s, I always used to like see Charlie Mack, and I know I shouldn't say this, but it'd be like in like those huge gang banging videos. Like I would always see him as like the young buck, the young dude. I don't know. But yeah, that's proof that Satan exists. But here, yeah, let's go on. Research based on porn stars and depression and suicide. Primary research articles. The experience of individuals filmed for pornography production 2025. This study of 120 performers found out that 69% of them attempted suicide. Go figure. If it identifies a cycle of poly-victimization where trauma from childhood, 88% experienced sexual abuse, is compounded by abuse on films, sets, and online harassment. Comparison of mental health of female adult film performers, 2011, published in Psychiatric Services. This study found that performers meet the criteria for current depression at nearly 3 times the rate of the general population. 33% versus 13%. Performers are also reportedly significantly more days of poor mental health per month than age matched controls. Pathways to health risk exposure in adult film performers. This qualitative research identifies suicide as a clinically diagnosed risk for both male and female performers, driven by pathways of financial insecurity, social isolation, and substance abuse used as coping mechanisms. As a coping mechanism, sorry. Key contributing factors: pre-existing vulnerabilities. Performers are statistically more likely to have experienced childhood poverty, 24% versus 12%, or have had placed in foster care, 21% versus 4%, compared to the general public. Industry stigma and isolation. The perceived performance of online content leads to ongoing psychological distress, social isolation, and cyberbullying, which were cited 75% of performers as a direct negative consequence of their work. Occupational risk. The Centers of Disease Control, CDC, categorizes arts, design, entertainment, sports, and media industry, which includes adult performers, as having some of the highest suicide rates among occupational groups. Occupational groups. Sorry, this is weird reading all this. Investigate coverage. Vice News. Mental illness is killing porn stars. Details the clusters of deaths in late 2017 and the industry's subsequent push for better peer support and mental health resources. ABC News. John Ronson, The Last Days of August, examines the suicide of August Amis, exploring how social media harassment and a history of family trauma intersects within the adult industry. And yeah, and I believe like the sexual soul ties that the adult performers the sexual soul ties that they inherit from other performers, I believe that they're most likely to be far more potent with demonic spirits. You know what I mean? But yeah. Oh, here we go. Simon Cowell claims he slept with 2,000 women. Former American Idol judge had two women a week for 20 years during his good days. This is written by Janina Nunez. This is published on September 22nd, 2010. But yeah, right here, you obviously see the after effects, the before and after, 2003 versus 2025. And then 2003, that's when we all know when American Idol kicked off. So you can believe, we all can believe what happened during that 22-year gap. And I actually believe he probably did sleep with 2,000. But right here, what you see right here on the picture on the right, like in the physical world, it may seem like a bad plastic surgery, but if you really look and meditate on it, and if you're spiritual, you'll notice that it's way far more deeper than a bad plastic surgery. It's spirits behind this. Like I was showing earlier, the spiritual body is a reflection of the outside physical body. And here you go. But yeah, like a person with a whole bunch of spirits from sexual soul ties, they feel nasty and gunky. Like you ever like in your childhood, I hope it was, you ever worn like the same clothes like let's say for 2 days or 3 days straight, or let's say you wear like the same pants for like a week. I mean, not like a week straight, but you go a while without wearing like pants, and they start to feel all slimy and gunky and all crunchy and crusty. That's how he feels in the spirit right here. he feels all slimy, uncomfortable, and gunky in the spiritual, in his tarnished soul. And yeah, I was actually watching not too long ago, like a couple years back. I was actually watching an interview, like a recent interview with Simon Cowell. Most of his interview, he was talking about therapy and how he had to go to therapy because he had because he just wasn't feeling well. He was like very depressed, but sadly, he's oblivious to the fact that all that depression comes from sleeping with like 2,000 women. But yeah. If you do not obey the Lord your God, cursed shall be the offspring of your body. Deuteronomy 28:25. Oh yeah, and before I get into this next part, I also wanted to mention like pickup artists. You know the whole PUA world, like realm with like pickup artists like what's their name? Owen Cook, RDSD Tyler, and Mystery Method. Like he's like the perfect example. I want to bring this up because he's like the perfect example of like a OG PUA coach, like who like pretty much burnt out. Like for example, if you compare him from like the early 2000s or the 2000s where he started out to all the way till now, like he's literally a shell of a man of what he used to be.
Beautiful girl. Now that you have women with you, you come pre-selected, so that's one of the attraction switches already being triggered in her mind. Also, you're disqualifying yourself from being considered a potential suitor to her because you got two girls in your arms already, so the two guys that are with her don't feel threatened by your approach.
Just came back from Europe, so you have to bite the bullet and accept that you're alone at first in a new city. So you got to do the work. You got to open up the first set on the left. Go to a target-rich venue.
Like, yeah, he went from being like a PUA guru to like an empty vessel. But the reason why I wanted to bring that up, it's sad. Like many PUA artists, or mostly a lot of these red pill content creators and coaches or whatnot, they're like leading these young men to hell. Literally, it's literally the blind leading the blind, which is sad. But no, I just want to throw that out there. Yeah, I'm going to reread this. If you do not obey the Lord your God, cursed shall be the offspring of your body. Deuteronomy 28:25. Generational soul ties. Generational soul ties is a pathway of spiritual inheritance, bringing godliness or crookedness down from 3 or 4 generations of our forebears. Quote by David Cross. So yeah, not only do soul ties corrupt one's soul, but they can corrupt, or they will corrupt one's offspring and their offspring as well, thus pretty much creating a generational curse. See, that's why a lot of people, when they associate generational curses, they always associate generational curses with like some type of witchcraft, which is the case a lot of the times. But I believe a lot of these generational curses are started through ungodly soul ties, like a tarnished soul, like a tarnished spiritual soul being passed down generations to generations. Yeah. Also, yeah, and like let's say if whoever you sleep with is dabbling in witchcraft, that those demonic spirits from the witchcraft will corrupt your offspring and their offspring as well. Like that's why, like, let's say if someone like goes ham in their teens, 20s, or 30s, let's say if they have sex with a bunch of people, like by the time they like settle down, a lot of people think they can just like sweep all that under the rug and think they can just have a clean slate. Like other than these spirits clashing with their spouse and their spouse's demons or bad spirits attached to their spouse, like instead of both these spirits clashing, you're in their offspring will be affected. Like don't be surprised if you like sleep with a bunch of people, if you slept with a bunch of people in your past, like these past years or decades. Like don't be surprised if your like child has some type of behavioral issues or like anger problems or maybe like a health condition or like worse, like some type of like disease or something. That's due to like bad soul ties. But yeah, it's serious. Like it can like in these like generational soul ties, these spirits can like be passed down from thousands from like years to thousands of years until somebody breaks the generational curse. But yeah, like especially let's say if you have like sex with a prostitute, like that will definitely like bring like curses to your offspring. Like, and we know like the most darkest spirits, the most dead, darkest demonic spirits go to see prostitutes. I actually know about a family, like a very dysfunctional family, that is not only that is cursed, but is getting worse. Come to find out, their grandfather used to have sex with prostitutes in the I believe the late 50s and the 60s. Yeah. Now King Solomon loved many foreign women from the nations concerning the Lord had said to the sons of Israel, "You shall not associate with them, for they will surely turn your heart away after their gods." Solomon held fast to these in love. 1 Kings 11, 1 through 2. So yeah, pretty much, the whole the Bible story with King Solomon. He was like the most wisest man, but unfortunately, he was his soul, or he was being corrupted by like the women he was like married to or tied to. Like he was also like mixing, I believe, his beliefs with their like witchcraft. If a previous sexual partner has been into false worship, people can even find themselves affected by the spiritual power that governed the religious practice of that previous partner, just as Solomon experienced when he was drawn away from the walk with God. Quote by David Cross. Yeah, so pretty much the women he was dealing with, they pretty much slowly drifted him away from like his walk with God, just like this passage or this quote by David Cross. The occult and soul ties. We can also mention that there can be a deliberate choice made by the people to establish ungodly soul ties by those who want to take advantage of the powerful hold that such ties can have on the will of others. Satanism, witchcraft make use of ungodly soul ties as a means of influencing the lives of those intended to be subject to spiritual control. In deep occult practice, group members purposely soul tie themselves together through ungodly rituals, often of a sexual nature, so spiritually join together and thereby allow ungodly communication and control within the group. Quote by David Cross. So yeah, like what I was saying earlier, uh, that's why a lot of, I believe I said this, that's why a lot of celebrities crash out, because whatever spirits they have on top of all the people they sleep with outside of, on their own free time, whatever spirits they're connected to, whatever through whatever sex ritual they've done is really taking a hold on them. Because you know how, like, it's pretty apparent that like people who like become a part of like of some type of high secret society or whatever, whether it involves like the media or celebrity status or anything political, a lot of the times like these secret societies require an initiation ritual where the person who wants to join or or the person going through the initiation has to sleep with somebody who's like deep in the occult practice. Or it could be like a grand wizard or something like that. But yeah, they're aware that of the spiritual hold and power that Satan uses with ungodly soul ties to have that demonic hold on people. Like, and it pretty much ties into the Bible quote, what, Mark 8:36, for what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? So yeah, like, what's the point if you want the money, fame, and all that, and the power, but you're gonna have to go through an ungodly sexual ritual where you're gonna have to bind yourself with these demonic entities and pretty much lose your soul, on top of the debauchery that normally comes with the fame and power. And also like, yeah, like, think of and I want to like show you like this clip right here of this of the Babylonian like sex rituals that shows how Satan makes use of these soul ties. But yeah, let's watch it real quick.
Tool of spiritual power. Ishtar's priestesses, known as Naditu, not only offered their bodies in temples, but also participated in rites that transformed sexual energy into a direct channel to the goddess. These rituals were not merely about seeking blessings, but were seen as a way to access the darker, hidden secrets of the universe. The concept of hierogamy, or divine union, was a ritual where worshippers could spiritually merge with the goddess. The energy generated during these rites was believed to have the power to alter not only individual lives, but reality itself.
So see, yeah, the ancient Babylonians were aware of the power that these sexual soul ties have, these ungodly demonic soul ties have. Think about it. They brought up how it changes and controls the courses of one's life, and also the whole point of it is divine union with Satan and demons. Like, think about these fraternities. Like, why do you think a lot of these frat people are extremely like narcissistic, like just toxic, and have like that draconian reptilian personality? Because most of them, whatever, when they join fraternities, they go through initiations, which a lot of them include them having sex with somebody, and on top of that, they're having sex with tens or maybe even hundreds of people. Because I did research on this, it's very common for a frat person to practice like casual sex on a daily basis through like all the little parties and all that. But surprisingly, there are some that don't have sex throughout their time in the fraternity. But yeah, think about it. That's why they're so like draconian and reptilian and just narcissistic, because they're literally compiling likewise people who are likewise to them. They're compiling hundreds of like likewise souls on top of themselves, so they become just even worse and even more nastier and narcissistic. Yeah, they become to like hate life. But yeah, that's just an example. And also, oh yeah, also if somebody's like practicing, like if they're like a part of the occult or practicing witchcraft or whatever, and in any occult practice, and then they end up having sex with somebody who isn't, like, they will be hit by those spirits, and their children's oncoming generations will be hit by these demonic spirits, and they'll be binded and held down by these demonic spirits. That's what ungodly, demonic, occultish soul ties, whatever. That's the power it has on a person. It can literally just keep them bound, like in a box. Like they can never grow, like energetically, spiritually. Like they're like completely bound, like stuck on like it can, like, ungodly soul ties can literally keep you at like a low vibration based on the vibrations or the spirit of the people you slept with. And if it's ungodly, they're mostly demonic, dark spirits. Like I said, sex is very spiritual. That's why when two people are having sex in a room, there are spirits clashing in that room. That's why when we have situations like, let's say we got like a single mom with like 3 to 5 kids, and let's say they live in like a 2-room apartment flat or whatever, and then let's say it's kind of like small, and then the walls are thin, so you can hear like like each room. And let's say they have their little boyfriend around, or they're friends with benefits, and let's say they're having sex in the middle of the night and the kids can hear, or even if they can't hear, even them just being in that small facility within the same vicinity, they can be hit with those spirits that are clashing in the room where the mom and the boyfriend are having sex. And then it'll literally infect one of those kids because it's in the same apartment building. And let's say one of those kids will have a problem with pedophilia, and like in the future will get hit by one of those spirits, and they'll have a problem with what? Pedophilia. They could be super perverted. They could have a crazy sex addiction. Sex addiction. They could be into like incest, or they could become like racist. I almost said racist, rapists, etc., etc. Or what's really, really common is they'll become, in the future, because they're hit by that demonic spirit that happened during the intercourse between their mom and their boyfriend. They'll be hit with the spirit of the ABCDEFG group, if you know what I mean. Yeah. But yeah, I just want to throw that in there. But the occult and soul ties. I just wanted to bring up how Satan uses. But yeah, Satan does use ungodly soul ties as a tool to destroy society, because he knows like sex was like a God-given gift to bring man and wife together even closer. But yeah, it got corrupted. How to deliver oneself from these ungodly soul ties. So yes, there's still hope. The 4 steps on how to do with bad soul ties. Number 1, identify the soul tie. Number 2, forgive past hurts. Number 3, fast for a day. Yeah, you might need a fast to clear up all those, to really clean your system out and clean yourself out, which will help you clean yourself out spiritually. And then last, but very importantly, repent. But and also another one I wanted to mention is you might also need to move to like somewhere where it's like warm and sunny, because all those ungodly soul ties can really affect someone during the gloomy season. Like, let's say whether it's fall, winter, even depending where you live, like parts of spring. Because I had like a story of like my cousin. He was living with his siblings, my other cousins. They were all living in like the same house at one point in time, right? And then keep in mind, the cousin I'm talking about, he actually had sex with a bunch of during his like career. I'm not gonna go into detail. He had sex with like a bunch of different women from all the way from like probably like 2005 to like 2007, which was like the peak. He probably had sex with like 30 to 50 or even more like different women. Like, he went ham, right? But he wasn't like really affected until, there were parts where he was like jaded and all confused, but he like during like 2005 to 2007, he wasn't really affected. But then like it took all the way till like I believe 2009 and 2010 to really get hit by those ungodly spirits, because one time when winter rolled around, my other cousins who were living with him, they said that I think it was November or whatever. They said that he locked himself in like a room, in his room all day, and he curled himself up in a sleeping bag and just like rolled and smoked joints like all throughout the day for like an entire month or 2 months. They, I shouldn't be laughing at this, but they said he was like he was a partially lit joint because that's all he did was like smoke and just sleep and have himself curled up in a sleeping bag in his room for like entire month. But yeah, sometimes you might have to move to like a warmer and sunnier, like nicer climate to really like fight that. It also, I've had I've read posts of women who had a lot of like who have a lot of ungodly soul ties. I mean, I just know like there are instances where like during like the winter or like the winter or fall season, they will make posts about like wanting to commit suicide during around that time. Those gloomy seasons can really awaken or affect those bad soul ties. But yeah, let's but I want to go deeper. You know the book I mentioned earlier, what is it called? Sex Lies, Soul Ties. She actually has like a longer list of steps, which I'm gonna go into right now. The book was Sex Lies and Soul Ties by Tiffany Buckner. Here are her 10 steps. Let me find it. Bear with me. All right, how you can be set free from ungodly soul ties. Here are the 25 pointers to help you free yourself from the enemy's grasps. Number 1, repent of the deed that got you bound in the first place. Number 2, forgive everyone who has ever hurt, betrayed, or wronged you in any type of way. 3, forgive yourself. 4, beware of the same spirits in different people. Good one. Number 5, disassociate yourself from anyone who links you to your ex except the children. Number 6, disassociate yourself from ungodly friends, family members, and anyone who's bound. Number 7, fill yourself with the word of God. Number 8, don't mediate on the wrong through thoughts or dreams. Number 9, tell yourself your ex was not the one. Number 10, take accountability for your own actions. Number 11, don't bind yourself to any form of debt. Number 12, throw away any and everything your ex gave you, except for the children, of course. Number 13, throw away any furniture you've had sex with your ex on. Number 14, throw away all undergarments wore while actively engaging in fornication with your ex. Number 15, change your mind about certain songs and scents. Number 16, if you can avoid going to places your ex frequently goes, avoid them. Number 17, end all communications with the ex if you don't have children with him or her. Number 18, if you do have children with your ex, keep all communications about the children, only the children. Number 19, recognize the players in the soul tie game. Number 20, give yourself the necessary time to heal. Number 21, uproot the old imaginations and replace them with new ones. Number 22, make conscious efforts to stay off your ex's or anyone's associated with your ex's social media pages. Number 23, tell yourself the truth and nothing but the truth. Number 24, do something new in your life often. And then last but not least, number 25, ask the Lord to sever all ungodly soul ties from your life. So yeah, the only way you can free yourself from these sexual soul ties is through Jesus and God. Like, honestly, all those little bath salt crystal thing, yeah, bath salts or whatever, that's not gonna help. I mean, maybe it might do a little something, but it's not gonna help in the long run. And also, yeah, like I said, fasting really does help, because it really does clean your body and your soul after you do these 25 steps and these 4 main steps. Then they will know that I'm the Lord, when I have broken the bars of their yoke and have delivered them from the hand of those who enslave them. Ezekiel 34:27. Yeah, like I said, only God and Jesus can free you from these demonic, dark, ungodly soul ties. I'm not going to go into it now, but I believe in the same book that I went over by Tiffany Buckner, I believe there was a part in the book, like it's somewhere in there, where she said, where she actually prayed at the altar and prayed, like she was aware of these steps on how to get rid of these soul ties. She said, I believe it was the Tiffany Buckner book. My bad if I'm wrong, but she said she actually like prayed at the altar, because you know how they call people towards the end of the service, they have them pray at the altar. I believe she prayed these ungodly soul ties away from her, and like the preacher or the pastor put the whole hand on her head and everything while she prayed. And she said, like, literally after she prayed, she felt a huge weight off her spirit that she can't describe, like a bunch of like negative energy just fleed from her soul. But yeah, she was like freed from those ungodly soul ties she has accumulated over the years and all that. But yeah, like I was saying, there's still hope. There's still hope from these ungodly demonic soul ties, even if it is through the occult practice. And you can even destroy generational curses with the practice of repentance, is praying these demonic dark soul ties away. But yeah, I believe, like I said, there's still hope, and it's through God. But yeah.